Hi everybody, I'm here with an ex-vegan of around 5 years today. How did you get into veganism? What got you into it and what happened?
Honestly, it was a natural thing. Like I naturally went through a cleansing, and I do think that veganism is like a cleansing thing. So I used to fast a lot, and so after fasting I wouldn't eat meat for a while, and so I read different, there's different African books out there that talk about spirituality and how you can get closer and better not eating meat, blah blah blah. So I kind of just naturally stopped eating meat and realized I was only eating fish, and then eventually I stopped eating everything, and then I started reading different things about why veganism is so good, and that's when I started to become mentally vegan, whereas before it was more just a let's cleanse my body vegan.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of health issues did you start noticing?
Well, I didn't notice any major health issues until the very end, and that was around the time when I miscarried. I had a miscarriage, and I just felt so worn out and so tired, and just everything was just like I couldn't, I just was worn out, and I didn't realize that after everything would change, like my libido went up after I started eating meat. I was so used to not having it that I didn't even really notice it gone so much. It wasn't until after I started eating meat that I noticed just how bad it had gotten. So at the time it was just exhaustion and the miscarriage that made me really rethink my diet.
Did you care about animal rights also, or was it mostly about the health?
I think the animal rights did come up for me a little bit, but it wasn't, I could never really completely buy into the way it's framed, the vegans frame it, just because I know, I had friends that had backyard chickens that would give me, eggs, and my grandfather was a farmer, and so I watched hogs being slaughtered as a child, and I understood that aspect of how things work, and so I didn't completely buy into the way that they frame it, although I always bought into how bad it was for, the industry, the way the industry is, the slaughterhouse industry itself. So I was always against that, and I've seen the slaughterhouse videos, and they did get to me because I do think that it is an abuse that they're doing, the way that they, the factory farming and the factory slaughterhousing. So, but I was never mentally in it to the point where, I would go around and advocate for veganism and tell people they're killing animals and all that stuff. I think that's a little extreme, and I think that there's definitely a middle ground there, and I always thought that.
What do you think about people like Ellen Fisher and those vegan YouTubers who promote children being vegan?
I don't think it's right, because I personally think that to build anything, and this happened with me specifically, every pregnancy I had, I have 3 kids, so my first 2, toward the end, I craved meat to the point where I could not eat meat. Like, I needed to have meat. By the time I was toward the end of my 2nd trimester and into the 3rd trimester, I needed meat. And looking back, I should have had organ meats. But at the time, I didn't even know that aspect of, organ meats are going to be better for you. So I was literally just like, I need to have meat. So I personally feel that meat is something that will help you build. And I don't think that a child who's building his body and who's building up into adulthood should not have any type of animal products in his diet. I don't think it's good for them. I think that they can survive off of not having it, but I think that they would thrive if they were to have it.
Where do you think veganism comes from, and where is it heading? What is it really about?
I think it's transhumanism. I mean, the way it's hijacked, I don't think that it has to be transhumanism, because there's always going to be pockets of people who see things in a different way that is not that way. But I think that the ultimate goal of it and the hijacking of it, like with Bill Gates doing Beyond Meat and all this stuff that he's doing now, is transhumanism, because they want to make this stuff in a factory. They want you to literally start eating bugs, and they're trying to put bugs into food, and they're doing it because they're literally trying to make you eat stuff that is not supposed to really be eaten, because they're going to just give you plastic. Ultimately, it's going to be a little bit of bug with plastic, and you're going to like it. That's what they want. Like, you're going to like that.
Were you part of any kind of community? Did you have vegan friends or anything like that? Was it maybe also what kept you in the...
I don't think I had any close friends. I was part of the meetup, the vegan meetup. There's one here that I was part of, and it was actually, it was interesting. And I will say that it kind of made me side-eye the vegan community a little bit, because I went to the meetups, and I was vegan long enough where I got good at making vegan stuff. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was good at it. And I made this, I used to love crab rangoons when I was not vegan, so I figured out a way to make them vegan. And they were good. And I remember taking them to like a vegan meetup, and they were like, this is too good, it can't be vegan. They literally would not believe it was vegan just because it was good. That's how messed up they are. And they're like, what are the ingredients? And I'm like, look, I'm vegan, I know what the ingredients are. This is vegan. But they're looking at me like, well, are you sure that that was sourced like as a vegan source? And I'm looking at this chick like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? Is this what you do in the restaurants? Like, because I can see why you don't have a man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is how you act all the time.
It's basically like they're saying that vegan food doesn't taste good, or it can't be vegan because it tastes too good.
That's basically what they said. And it was ridiculous because it really was vegan. It was deep fried.
Right.
Because, you know, anything's going to taste better deep fried if you're really...
Did they also bring any kind of meat imitations and such to the meetings?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, that was what it was. My thing was
right.
a meat invitation. So, I mean, it was supposed to act like crab rangoon, so it had fake cheese, had fake everything, and they would bring a lot of fake stuff. I mean, they would sometimes make it more of a plant-based way to make it fake, and even though I was vegan, I don't think I had read enough to know that doing the soy isolates and stuff, especially during pregnancy, I really stayed away from all the fake soy stuff when I was pregnant, just because I had read so much about how it's harmful to you. Yeah, we're getting accosted by dogs. The vegan community gets a lot of things wrong, and they want to demonize you for eating an animal or eating any type of animal product. And if you can think of yourself more like how God would think of you, we're extensions of God. Like, we're literal human extensions of God. And things like fish, they want to be eaten by us. Like, they ultimately, if you catch a fish, that fish ultimately wants to be eaten by you, because you're an extension of God. You're what gives that fish, like, the extension of you is what gives that fish its life. Like, and it all filters up because we're all connected. And a lot of times they say it's all connected, so you can't harm this person, you can't harm that person. And I get that to a point, but also there's a cycle of things, and there's a way that things go. Just like you have the carnivores and, you know, the lions that go after. And I mean, this is the cycle of life that we're talking about. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, it's a bad thing if it is turned into something negative, like the way they do the slaughterhouses, or the way that you're over killing. Like, and you can look at the way like Native Americans and Native peoples did things, where they actually honored the things that they killed. These things were there to help them. And if you honor it and you're using it the way it should be used, that is how it's supposed to be done. You're not supposed to be wasteful and just massacring all of these animals and just like wasting it everywhere. No, but if you're doing it the right way, like if you go out, like I said, and catch a fish, that fish wants to be eaten by you. This is part of what happens, because he wants to filter up and become a higher being. That is what happens when you eat that fish.
That's a very interesting take. Anything else you would like to add, or anything you would like to say to any vegans who are maybe watching? Some message, something you learned from... Just
to listen to your body, because a lot of times, like, you may not even know how you're feeling because you're so used to feeling bad. And that's something that happened with me. I didn't realize that like my libido was low because I was so used to it being a certain way. So it wasn't until I started to go out of it that I were to see it. I would say that we're here to have a variety of things, and animal products don't have to be demonized just because they're an animal. They come from an animal. And, you know, there's a cycle to things, and these animals give their bodies for our sustenance, and we should honor that. We shouldn't think of it as some evil thing that we're doing by eating them.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah. Okay, is that it?
I guess so.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.